Thank you. Perfect. Ellie, it wasn't recorded. I missed it, but at the end it will be recorded. Thank you, Ellie. And Kol Masecha B'Sefer Nechtavim. Rabbi say, I want to learn a Gemara Shabbos with the Olam and a Gemara Bab Mitzvah and Afti. If we can learn, Yonatan, thank you for being here. 2 Gemaras with the Olam, 1 Gemara Shabbos, 1 Gemara Bab Mitzvah. The Gemara Shabbos is about Megillas Rus. And the Gemara Shabbos tells us that Boaz saw Rabbi say Gemara Shabbos Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, and Boaz saw 2 qualities in Rus that made him notice Rus. And I want to speak. Boaz was the Gadol Adar; he was the Shofet, and I want to speak about both qualities he saw in Rus. Says the Gemara. The Gemara says, "Vayomer Boaz lenaroi." Boaz says to his guys, his chevra who were working the fields, the foremen in the fields, Hanitzveh lakaitzrim, the one who were in charge of the pickers. He has pickers and he has foremen. And he says to the foreman, L'miya nara hazois, who is this girl? He wants to know who this girl is. Frek the Gemara of Chidarka shel Boaz lishol benara. Boaz is a Gadol Adar. Is it the derech of Boaz to ask about a girl? It seems way out of character that Boaz asks, L'miya nara, who is this girl? Amar Rebbe Lazar, Dvar halacha rabba. He saw her being very careful with the halacha. Shnei shiboilin lakta. The rule of leket, remember, she's a poor person, and she was picking leket for her. Rus was picking leket for her and her mother-in-law. And he saw her diktuk in halacha, her care for halacha. The rule of leket, Rabbi say, is that when the farmer drops either 1 stalk of grain or 2 stalks, an ani can come, a poor person can come and take it. And the farmer is not allowed to pick up 1 or 2 stalks. If there are 3 stalks, we paskin like Beis Hillel. It's a machloikis in a Mishnah and Peya, Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai. We paskin if there are 3 stalks that fell together, the balabayas takes it. It does not go to the ani. So she was very careful on the halacha. 2 stalks she was picking, 3 stalks she wasn't picking. So he saw her being very careful with the halacha. That's what when Boaz said, L'miya nara, who is this girl? He wasn't chas v'sholom, he was the Gadol Adar. It wasn't his style to ask about a girl, but he asked about her because he saw a diktuk in halacha. Who is this person who's so medaktik in halacha? 2 stalks. You have to picture the scene. She's an impoverished, she's a tremendously poor person, and she's here picking leket. It doesn't get more poor than that. She's picking the single strands of grain, of sa'irim, of barley from the floor, and she's careful that 2 stalks she picks up like the halacha, 3 stalks she doesn't touch. So he says, who is this girl? So they tell Boaz who she is. The Gemara says a second point, and the second point is Masni Satan. And a Raice we learned Davar tzniut Rabbi. He saw her being noig with tremendous tzniut. Oimedes, if there was a stalk that was standing, this is in terms of shekha. If there was a stalk that was standing, Mu'ummad, she picked it while she was standing. Naifelas. If there was a stalk that was on the floor, Miyoshev, she sat down. The typical thing would be to bend down and pick up a stalk. But for tzniut, she didn't want to bend down. So she would sit on the floor to pick the stalk. It was a much more uncomfortable way, a very unusual way of picking. It's a Gemara Shabbos, Meir, Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis. Thank you, Meir, for being here. Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, when she would pick up leket that fell on the floor, she would sit down. She wouldn't lean over for tznius. Gabi, the Marsha asks on the spot that what was he amazed that she was keeping the halacha shmalishus. Don't all Yidden keep the halacha? Why was Boaz said, who is this person who's keeping the halacha? 2 stalks they're picking, 3 they're not. What was so amazing? She's keeping the din. Isn't it normal to keep the din? I want to share something with the Olam that I think is vital to answer the Marsha's kasha, the derech efsher. The Marsha asks, Boaz is blown away that Rus is keeping the law. The all Yidden, Hashem Torah mitzvahs. We keep the law of Hashem. What is so amazing? I saw Rabbi iPhone asked the kasha on the chat. Rabbi iPhone is spot on, or Rebbitzin iPhone, whoever is asking, excellent. Exact kasha. What's the chiddush? She's keeping halacha. Excellent. Avada, you keep the halacha. So what is the chiddush that somebody keeps halacha? And Boaz is nishtaimim. He's amazed she keeps the halacha. I want to share this with the Olam. This is today's important. Please listen, Rabbi say as follows. For a long time, I've noticed on myself, we're talking today davening b'yechidus as opposed to davening in shul. And certainly we tend, I'm not saying we can't work on it, and many people are reporting that davening in their home, they're davening nicer, and I can hear that. But certainly the more natural thing is that in shul, we daven nicer than when we daven at home. The typical, in shul, we daven nicer. Now, we can work on it and should work on it and are working on it. But the more I saw some intelligent author wrote, that in shul, the people sort of, I feel like I'm grabbed by the tzibur. I'm assisted by the tzibur. On my own, I feel I have to make greater effort to daven nicely. Certainly in shul, it's easier. Now, I thought, Kobe Leiter, the reason I daven better in shul is for kavod, is for honor. Since others see, so I daven better. At home, others aren't looking. But that's a bad pshat because Hashem's looking. Hashem's real, Hashem's looking. So I used to say a pshat that we feel stuck. So God knows I'm stuck. But Avada, we're not stuck, and we know we're not stuck, and of course Hashem knows we're not stuck. Okay, sometimes we delude ourselves we're stuck, so God understands. But I want to share another pshat, why we tend to daven better in shul than at home, Rabbi say. And what I want to say, Chevra, is that in shul, we sense how important our prayers are. The whole environment bespeaks my prayer is important. It's set up as such. At home, alone in a room, I think, does this really count? It's hard to daven well. I'm alone. When I'm with the tzibur, Klal Yisrael, set up a whole gewaldige tzura of a shul, I sense the chashivas of my davening. When I'm alone in a room, does it really matter my davening? I want to tell you, Nafti, we sing a song in yeshiva. I'm going to ask somebody to sing it today. We sing a song, I think it's from the Sefer Charedim, the words, and we sing the song, V'hine Hashem, Nitzav Olav, Hashem hovers above us, Meloi Chol Haaretz K'vaydei, the whole world is full of the honor of Hashem, and yet, what does Hashem does? Mabit Olav, he looks at me, he looks at you, he searches our heart to see him avdei karaya, we serving him properly. This is a song, Kobe, we sing in yeshiva for the last couple of years. So an intelligent person asked me, Kalish, the songs in yeshiva, thank you, Yaakov, for putting the words. If people can look at the chat to see the words. V'hine Hashem nitzav olav. Hashem is hovering above us. Hashem, whose honor fills the whole world, yet, umabit olav, he's looking at you, not us, you, me, her. Umabit olav, he's looking at us. He's checking out our insides. Im avdai karaya, we're serving properly. So a friend said, Kalish, You sing this song. It's such a heavy song. It sounds so scary. Thank you, Shmuley Shus. Thank you, Yossi Greenspan. What are we doing in Waterbury, Connecticut? We're scaring people. This is the Yiddishkeit we're teaching. So that's what my friend asked me. So I want you all to know, I think this song is one of the most encouraging songs I've ever heard in my life, these words. And we sing it over and over. It's beautiful words. I once noticed that people who are struggling, I've seen, you have a person struggling with some taiva, with some nisayan, and all of a sudden they become lax in halacha. I wonder what shaykhs. Last night you had some nisayan and today you're not being so careful in halacha. The answer, Chevra, is that when people feel badly about themselves, they tend to think their actions don't count. Diktuk in halacha is a gaiva. To be so careful in halacha is a gaiva. People who don't know us, people who aren't yet servants of Hashem, and they see us caring so exact, what they're really asking is, you Bal Gaiva, does God watch you so carefully? You matter so much. And the answer is yes. The answer is that God, who's Maloich Alart's Kavayda, is looking at me. My actions are significant. And Hashem was mitzvah me, and Hashem cares what I do. Hashem marks what I do. The chizuk from the song, Hine Hashem nitzav alav, Maloich Alart's Kavayda is mabit alav, is a massive chizuk that we count, that our actions matter. I've said over this story many times, but I'm happy that I keep repeating it because I want you to get a sense of the chizuk. 20 years ago, I had just moved to Waterbury. The story happened 18, 19, 20 years ago. I don't remember exact date, but I had shortly after I moved to Waterbury, a young fella, and I wanted to speak to the chevra after Ma'ariv. I wanted to share Divrei Torah with the Olam after Ma'ariv. So I wanted Pasha to the guys to know after Ma'ariv, don't run out. It's 10 o'clock after Ma'ariv. Don't run out 10:15. I want to learn Torah with the Olam. So after the Kitzur Advarim is, so I went around at the end of Ma'ariv to tell the Chevra that I want to learn with the Olam. I wanted to recruit to say a shir for the Chevra. So I went around telling the guys I'm going to speak after Ma'ariv. And I admit my sin, it was during Kaddish. They were saying, Yiskadal v'yiskadash shmei Rabbi. And in a Ma'aseh Aveira, I said to a bacher that I'm going to be giving shir after Ma'ariv. So he said to me after Kaddish, Rabbi, how did you speak during Kaddish? So, at first, I was like taken aback. He was looking what I was doing. I'm a young kid, and he's asking me, how did you speak? Because I'm a Baal Aveira, because I made a mistake, because I didn't have Aveira. And Rabbi say he changed my life. I said to myself, and there's a close chaver I remain in tremendous contact with, and is spoiled, an amazing person. He said, Kalish, I hold you worthy of asking, why did you speak during Kaddish? It changed my life. We're holding 20 years later, that story's still an impression on me. He was telling me, Kalish, I hold you capable of having a cheshbon for your meisim. I hold that you have to think each action and weigh it out carefully. What a chizuk he gave me. That chizuk is the chizuk that Hashem always tells us. If I ask the chevra, where do you think we pray in davening not to be sad? V'haser mimenu yogoim v'anacha. Remove sadness from our lives. Where do you think, Gav Leiter, where do you think in prayers, Mayor Foster, we would pray to God, please remove sadness from my life? I would think of many places in prayer. Maybe the prayer for Parnasa. Maybe the prayer for Refuah. Maybe the prayer for Das. Maybe the prayer for Tshuva. Shema Koleinu. Many places, Yo Rachmani, I would think that prayer that we ask God to remove sadness, I would peg it at many places in davening. It's shocking. Yes, Shlomo Ghoori. Yes, Chaim. Well, it was Majeski. Many places in prayer, I would put many places in prayer. I would say that we ask to remove sadness. Fascinatingly, it's the prayer for din. Hashiva shayftenu kvarishayna. Return din. What shaykhus is din? Din seems harsh. Din is law. Din is wanting us, demanding us, assays and lice assays. Hashiva shayftenu kvarishayna. In that prayer that we ask for judges and we ask for a return to din, we say, please remove sadness. Because Rabbi said the biggest chizuk is that my maisim count. I have discovered people who are nichshal naveris, they lose a sense that their maisim count. They feel badly about themselves. And all of a sudden you see halacha drop. They not truthfully, they forget va'atem tiyuli mamlechas kayanim v'goy kadosh. They forget the promise of Hashem that we are mamlechas kayanim v'goy kadosh. We count, we matter, we're significant. Specifically, Rabbi says, specifically in the bracha that we ask for din, that we ask for a return to din, we say remove our sadness. It's a tremendous chizuk. That we count, that we matter, that our actions important. What Boaz saw, Rabbi say, it is very unusual. Aniyim do not feel very chashuv. They're poor. You're talking about people who are the poorest people in society. They're picking leket. The tendency is to feel I don't count. Of course, people keep halacha as best as possible. But in that field of aniyim, it's very unlikely to find a remarkable diktuk hadin. In ani may have a sense they're forsaken, chas v'sholem. They may feel that Hashem forgot about me. They may feel unimportant. They may feel we don't have a standing in society. To find an ani, to find an aniyah in this case, in the field, and she's mamish being medaktek in din, exact. A person davening themselves in the room, to still have the exact care of how they do it, the exact nusach, to do it right, to sing the songs, to say the with cheshek and to daven with passion, takes a person to understand that they count and they matter so much. And that's what Boaz saw in Rus. He saw a midah that she's worthy of Malchus. He ends up marrying her, and David HaMelech and Mashiach comes from her because she understands how chashuv a yid is. She understands. I always love that picture of Rus, that once she was sitting in the fields, but with dignity, keeping a diktuk in halacha, and later on she's Ima Shel Malchus. She's on her throne, sitting next to the kings of Klal Yisrael on a glorious throne, the matriarch of the Jewish people. She's Ima Shel Malchus. On her proud throne, she's sitting there next to the Melech. She's so dignified and chashuv, and I love picturing both scenes. I'm very visual. This would be a great picture for Huda Krupka to draw and for Maishi Kalish. The two visuals of the lady picking leket in the field and sitting on her throne. And know that both times she knew how chashuv she was. She didn't need the external trappings of the throne. She was a malka in that field, collecting payel, collecting leket. She was princess. She was glorious. She was a medaktek in halacha. She knew who she was. She knew her maisim count. The second thing the Gemara tells us is she was careful with tzniut. Tzniut, we're mostly on the screens. We're mostly men here. When you talk about tzniut to ladies, you have to know it's the strangest thing in the world, Sviki. When there are many topics we speak about to Bachram, many topics and difficult topics. Or I've never seen the reaction that girls have to tzniut. When you talk to a room full of nashim tzidkaniyos and you mention tzniut, They're like weird reactions in the crowd. There's nothing like this, by guys. You could talk about any topic in the world, beseder. It's not always easy. You talk about kibbut aveim, we shift a little nervously. We have many topics, difficult topics. But there's no topic. Why is tzniut such a strange topic? I'm convinced, Chevra, what I'm convinced is that we teach it wrong. Typically, many Yid know the truth. I believe it's the most widely mistaught topic, what tzniut is. Mind you, it's a third of Judaism. The Navi tells us Yiddishkeit, 3 parts, is Torah, learning and living it, chesed and tzniut, to boys and girls alike. And I think tzniut is taught wrong, and that's what causes so much confusion and uncomfortableness. Tzniut means to know our value. We've spoken a lot about the midah of levadai. Tzniut has nothing to do with how somebody dresses. Tzniut has nothing to do with how somebody talks. Those are only when you have tzniut, so then those things happen. Those are external expressions, chitzonius. But we're not hitting the pnimius of what tznius. Ironically, tznius, which is pnimius, we don't talk about the pnimius of tznius. It's ironically the opposite of tznius. To talk about dress when you talk about tznius is not tznius. You're missing tznius. Tznius means to know who we are. We are precious. We are chashuv. That's tznius. The heart of tznius is to know the chashivas of a person. A person's important. A person has a relationship to God. When a bacher looks at inappropriate things, chas v'shalom, the ikar fear is he loses a sense. A boy, a girl, a ben Torah, a bas Yisrael are tremendously chashuv, have values, have dreams, have ksharim to Hashem. A Yid is amazingly chashuv and elevated. That's the heart of tznius. That's what tznius is. A gathering of tznius to Nashim should be all about the preciousness of a human being. How glorious, how elevated, how important the Yid is. That's the sugya of tznius. You were born for a connection to Hashem. That's the sugya of tznius. That's the sugya of tznius. That's what tznius is. How that will reflect in external actions when a person knows their chashivos, when a person knows their glory and knows the importance of themselves. Okay, you'll have many maisim that are changed, but I want to get to the tznius of tznius. And I think the topic's so uncomfortable because we miss the sugya. In anything, if you miss the sugya, so it's not very comfortable to talk about. The sugya is the glory and preciousness of a person. That's the sugya. It's so gishmak that Boya sees 2 things in Rus. He sees she's careful with halacha. What in the fields, in such conditions, you recognize that you're so chashav, that you're so important. You're mamish medaktek. You recognize your chashivos. This is somebody worthy of malchus. That's the sugya of Rus. This is somebody who's the spitz bas melech. She chaps her chashivos in a condition that most people, they're keeping the law, beseder, this way, that way, not with a diktuk, not a sense of I'm so chashiv. That's not the feeling out there in the sada picking leket. But this one understands, this bas melech understands. Hashem loves me. I have a close kesher to him. My actions matter. And she's medaktek in halacha. Wow. And of course, the 2 things, she has tznius. Of course, she realized that's David Achasi. She's so careful. It displays itself in how the pu'ula of how she picks. Of course, such a person who's close to the melech, of course, such a person is very careful how she's a bas melech. She's not going to bend down to pick up the leket. David Achasi, the Raice and the Gemara, the diktuk and halacha, and then of course the pu'ula. This is what happens, such a care, a dignity, a profound dignity of a person who knows who she is. This is one of the great stories of Rus. We read this story on Shavuos, And it's very, very much spoken about in the Mefarshim, the Midrash and Chazal. Why do we read this story on Shavuos? But I want to say that this point, that Rus's knowledge of who she is when she's sitting in the Sada under all conditions, and of course at the end she's Ima Shel Malchus, it always comes out, Saif HaKavod Lavai. But at all points of her life, knowing her chashivus, knowing how important her maisim are, knowing that she counts and she matters, to me that resonates a lot. It resonates a lot, especially this has been the topic this year, that it's clear to me Hashem drove us home. He drove us into the privacy of our own homes. So to me, it's so valuable, this lesson, that we count, that we're chashuv, that we're important. And our actions are important in the privacy, even when it's not broadcast on WhatsApp and on all the social, on Zoom. Our actions count alone and private and our chashuv, because Hashem loves us and cares about our actions. So that's the first Gemara, Rabbi say, that I wanted to study with the Chevra. I'm going to ask somebody to sing V'hinei Hashem Nitzav Alav, and then I want to share a Gemara I don't think I ever learned with Yoel Tepler. Even with Shimi, even with Meir Davidson, I don't think we ever learned this Gemara. I don't think Mati and I ever studied this Gemara together. I don't believe so. I'm sure Mati and the Chevra studied the Gemara, but we didn't study it together, Abby Walaski. So I want to learn it with you and Grandma. First, let's get to V'hinei Hashem. I want to sing Chaim and Shlomo. Do you know the song V'hinei Hashem?
Yeah, Rabbi. Just give us a second.
How about it became a positive, happy song? Let's sing it. The covered Meir Davidson's son, Mordcha. It's his birthday today. Mazel Tov. Should have a sach nachas for Mordcha. Meir Friedler, let's sing the song V'hinei Hashem. Thank you, Chaim. Thank you, Shlomo.
Thank you, Rabbi. V'hinei Hashem nitzav alav, Ha'melech kol haaretz k'vaydai, U'mabit alav u'vaychein kelai yisbalei, Ha'yimav daikara. Hashem nitzav alav, Melech haaretz k'vaydai, U'mabit alav u'vaychein kelai yisbalei, Ha'yimav daikara. Hashem nitzav alav, Melech haaretz k'vaydai, U'mabit alav u'vaychein kelai yisbalei, Ha'yimav daikara.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Thank you, thank you. What a uplifting, positive song. I think you got Chaim and Shlomo. You caused Matt to take off. I think he's on a plane. He's caused us to fly and soar all these weeks and months. He pushed soaring in the air. Thank you, Yehuda Bryness, for being here. Thank you, Nassim Mohammed, being here. Mordcha Helen, thank you for being here. Daniel Goldblatt, thank you for being here. We'll get to hear Matt soon. We'll get to hear Yitzy and Yehuda will perform today. I want to share Yosef Mammon with the Chevra Gemara in Bab Metzia. I want to shift gears. The Gemara Bab Mitzvah on Lamed Amud Beis, also in our Hachana for Shavuos, this Yom HaMiyuchas, this day when Hashem promised us we'll be a special people. Let's learn Kovi and Gab, this Gemara Bab Mitzvah. The Gemara is Lamed Amud Beis, such a fascinating story. The Gemara says as follows. Funny story. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy. Listen to this Ma'aseh Mani, great story. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy abi ka'azul b'orta. It's Bab Mitzvah, Lamed Amud Beis. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy was going on the road, Paga be'yahu gavra, and he bumps into somebody who's traveling on the road, and he bumps into a man, havidari pischa de'ufi. This man was carrying a bundle of wood. So he bumps into this fella who's carrying a lot of wood. Aisvinu, the Yid put the wood on the floor. The Yid, I can imagine, Yo Rachmani, this fella's carrying tons of wood. He bumps into Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy. The Yid puts the wood on the floor and is resting. He has this big sack of wood. Amar Lei, and the Yid says to one of the G'dolei Adar, to Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy, Dalili, please help load me up. Please help me pick up all this wood and put it back on my shoulders. He wanted Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy to help him stack up this wood. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy is thinking to himself, this is not, it's beneath his honor. Of course, he's not makbid on his own kavod, but he's the Gadol Adar, he's one of the G'dolei Adar. It's not that appropriate that he's lifting up wood in publicly. So he's thinking, but on the other hand, he wants to help a Yid. How can you not help a Yid? There's a Yid who has a need. So I can imagine Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy like stuck. We all have dilemmas in our life. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy is mitzad echad a Yid. A Yid needs my help. Mitzad Sheni is a Talmud Chacham. The dignity of Torah must be kept, and it's not exactly dignified. Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy would be lifting up wood off the floor. So he's misupik what to do. So listen to his chap. Amar Leis, he says Rifo. He says to, thank you for being here, Rifo, all the way from Canada. Thank you. Amar Leis, he says to the Yid, Kama Shavin, how much does your wood cost? All the wood, how much does it cost? Amar Le Palga de Zuzah, it's a half a zuz. So Yav Le Palga de Zuzah. So Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy figured it out. What a tzaddik. Mitzad echad chesed, I want to help a Yid. Mitzad sheni, I don't want to be mizalzel, covered atayra. So he says to the Yid, how much does all your wood cost? So he says a half a zuz. Says Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy, I'm buying the wood off you. Al mamish, you'll make all the money from the wood. He's going mistama to sell the wood this year. I'll buy it all off you. So now you don't even have to go around, go home, enjoy the rest of the day. You don't have to sell. I'm buying all the wood. What a tzedkus. He hands him a palga de zuzah, buying it off this year. V'afkara. Now Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy didn't want to carry the wood back. So now he owns a stack of wood that's meaningless for him. And remember, it's not lefi kvaydai to walk through the streets carrying the wood. So he's mafkir the wood, it's hefker. Listen to what this wood carrier did. Hadar zacharbu. The Yid reclaims all the wood. And he says, Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy, I need your help again. Help me load. It's mine again. Now, Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy at that point could say, Rabbi Yid, you're a trickster. I bought it off all of you. I'm not helping you. Kol tov. Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy now is the same dilemma. What should I do? A Yid needs help. He tricked me. He needs help. Hadar Yavlu Palga de Zuzah, he pays him for all the wood again. And he buys it back. V'afkara, and then he's mafkar Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy. Chazia, he saw that Yid, the Havi Kaboil Mahadal Mezachya, but we wanted to reclaim it. Amar Lei, Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzy was quicker than him. He said, L'kuli al mafkerinu, I was mafker for everybody. The l'chola hefkerinu, for you it's not hefker. I made it hefker only for everybody else, not for you. And the Gemara talks how he was allowed to do this. Frek the Gemara kasha, Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzy zaken ve'en lefik fayda yavi. What was his big problem, his dilemma? He wants to help a yid, but on the other hand, he's pater. It's einay lefik fayda. He's stam pater. The halacha is only pamim shata misalem. Sometimes you're allowed to look away. If it's einay lefik fayda, you're pater. So why did Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yitzy say kol tov? It's beneath my dignity. Why do you have to buy it twice off the yid? Says the Gemara, Lefnim Mishuras Hadin. It's above the letter of the law. According to the law, he was pater, but above the letter of the law. Now here's where things get fascinating. So good, Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yitzy is a from, he goes beyond the law. But the Gemara quotes a pasuk in Shemais, V'data lahem aderech yelchu ba v'samaisa asher yasun. And the Gemara learns from that pasuk in Shemais, Asher Yasun is a chiyuv lifnei mishuras hadin. You're obligated to go above the letter of the law. I am very confused. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzy, api the law, you say to a yid, kol tov, sayonara, I'm pater. Why did he have to buy the wood off him and he buys it twice off him? Says the Gemara, pasuk, you're obligated to go above the letter of the law. What does that mean? It has me dizzy. If I'm obligated to go, I saw Aryeh's like twisting. He's right. I'm all confused. What does it mean? So if you're obligated, so it's not above the letter of the law. What's happening, Chevra? What does it mean that you're obligated to go lifnim mishuras hadin? How can you be obligated to go above the letter of the law? This is the key, Rabbi say. We're holding the Yom HaMiyuchas. The Torah is not just a cold system of laws, my friends. The Torah produces a ben Torah. It produces attitudes. It produces a certain type of person. Our goal in learning Torah and keeping mitzvahs is to become the person that the Torah wants to produce. If Rabbi Shmuel Bar Yitzy, and we've seen people do this, would make like a cold calculation. He's robotic, plug into your computer. Yid needs help. It's not dignified for me to do this. Law, it's ein lefik fayda, you are pater by Yid. You're not a Torah-dik mensch. Lifnei mishuras hadin, beyond the law, means to become the person that the law was trying to create. Let me explain that. The chiyuv to help a yid demands to care about another yid. Let's picture the scene. Please listen to this, Chevra. This on Erev Kabbalah's Erev, the Shloshis Me'Akbala. This is key. A yid is sitting there, and he, listen, Manny, I need you to hear this. Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzy, listen, we said yesterday that sometimes we get Aryeh Barnett a window into tzaddik. Here's a window into Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzy. A yid is sitting there. There's a mitzvah de Raice called te'ina, to help a yid load. If I'm mechuyev to load up his animal, Kal v'chaymer himself, I have a mitzvah de Raice of te'ina, of helping somebody load. I have another din that I'm not allowed to disgrace my own honor. A person who doesn't know how to study Torah says, law, my honor comes before the mitzvah, Reb Yid Bai. That's if you don't know how to learn Torah. A Yid who knows how to learn Torah understands that mitzvahs talk to me. The mitzvah of Te'ina doesn't stop talking because you're not mechuyev. Te'ina said something. Te'ina said that you have to care, empathy. You can't walk away from a Yid who needs help. Te'ina talks to you, even when you have no chiyuv of Te'ina. A ben Torah knows that Torah and mitzvahs demand I become a certain person. So he doesn't make a cold calculation. Te'ina against the covenant with my own honor. My own honor wins kol tov. Tina said something to him. To load for a Yid said, I am so nervous. I'm so caring about this Yid. I'm empathetic. There's a Yid, that mitzvah, whether it's true that covet of himself came first. But the lesson of Te'ina doesn't leave. That's what it means. Lifnim Mishuras Hadin means beyond the law is what the law is telling you the type of person to be. That's a chiyuv. That's not extra credit. It's just that's our own work. A mitzvah, halachas can't produce that. We can. By listening, by understanding what type of person I create in myself. I take the law and I apply it and study it and are impacted by it. Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzy says to himself, I care so much about the Yid. He's keeping Te'ina. That's what it means, Lifnim Mishuras Hadin. He gets what the law is trying to make of him. So now he has a problem. I care like crazy about him, but I'm not allowed to lift it up because my own honor comes first. But that doesn't absolve me from caring. And he comes up with such a chap. He pays the Yid for all the wood. That's how his Te'ina comes out, Lifnim Mishuras Hadin. And this only we can do, situation by situation, understand the law. You can end up this afternoon talking to your sister at home, spending an extra half hour with your spouse because of the din of Te'ina. Loading with somebody else says that I'm aware. I don't just live in my own bubble, in my own shell. I'm not so self-absorbed. There's another person who has needs. Whoa, 1 second. What are their needs? How can I help them? I come out of myself. I'm empathetic. That's what Te'ina said. And Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzy understood what the mitzvah of Te'ina said. That's what it means, the chiyuv of Lifnim Mishuras Hadin. So why is it called above the letter of the law? Is because it can't be, there's no chiyuv specific. It's not a specific chiyuv. It depends, each person, each situation, God entrusted us with the law, to understand the law, to understand the demands of the law, and then to apply it for each situation, how to do it, in what way to do it. It doesn't have a specific law. Te'ina can make a person talk more with his 10-year-old sister because he's empathetic to somebody else's situation. It's called Lifnim Mishuras Hadin. It's out of the strict law. It means you understand the din and have become a shtick din. You've mamish absorbed the halachas. You understand what the halacha is producing. You've become, in short, a ben Torah. So remarkably, Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzy, this amazing story that he pays the Yid for all his wood. That's what he understands Hashem wants from him. So he kept the halacha his own honor, and he helped the Yid in even a greater way. By the way, this is what Hashem wanted it to play out. That's what Lifnim Mishuras Hadin means. The person who understands din understands that Hashem wants, you can't carry the load. So now you're going to have to think of a different way to help this Yid. By the way, the din itself produced somebody who ends up paying for all the wood. This Talmud Chacham, who understands Torah and is a ben Torah, ends up paying for all the wood, not just once, but then the Yid reclaims the wood. So now he could say, "Ah, chutzpah, you're a trickster." Picture the scenario, Chaim. Reb Dovi, picture the scenario. Yonatan Kleki, it's a great story. The Yid then has the audacity. Reb Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzy paid him for all the wood. And the Yid reclaims all the wood. Azah chutzpah. I'm picturing myself. The Yid would say, Kalish, help again now. I just bought all the wood off you and saved you. Go home. The Yid said, I'm in a bind. I reclaimed it. You reclaimed it. That was because I paid you for it. But Lemaisa, now the Yid owns it. The halacha is it belongs to the Yid. The Yid wanted his, and the Yid could sell it. And now you have again a chiyuv te'ina. What do you mean I have a chiyuv te'ina? It's ein lefi kvaidi. Yeah, but the lessons of te'ina still apply. That's what it means, Lifnim Mishuras Hadin. The lessons of te'ina still talk to you. The din still has a message for you, Rabbi Yishmael bar Rabbi Yitzy. This is what we're striving, Rabbi say. A few days before Kabbalah Torah, not just to be robotic performer of mitzvahs, of course, A loyalist who's medaktek in halacha, of course, learn the halacha, study the halacha, keep the halacha. But a person who the halacha tells him something, Tina, he doesn't just do Tina and then he's pater or chayiv. Tina has spoken to him. Hashem has said something, and he becomes a Tina mensch. Tina means to load somebody up, but I'm more empathetic. The mitzvah has spoken to Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yitzy. Even when he's pater, the mitzvah has told him something. And Memela, he has obligations based on what the mitzvah has told him. That's the Lefnei Mishur Sadin in this remarkable story, really amazing story. And Rabbi say that is what Yonatan Klecki wrote. You should see his note in the text. Brilliant, Yonatan. I feel that I missed a lot of the comments. I'm trying to learn to see the comments. Yonatan, brilliant what you said. Where's Yonatan? I should make it. Yonatan, speak it out. Tell the Chevra, read it to the Chevra. You're unmuted.
Okay.
Read it to the Chevra, Yonatan.
It's not mine. I'm not sure where I heard it, but I heard it one time.
I want it from you, from your precious mouth.
To limit the Torah to the letter of the law is to limit the infinite.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. You're an amazing person, Yonatan. I give you a kiss over Zoom. Thank you, Yonatan, for being a remarkable person. Thank you. Thank you. Very well said, Yonatan. Kedarka, a class act. Very, very well said. So this Rabbi says what I wanted to share with the Olam today. These two observations, the Gemara Shabbos, that diktuk in halacha, exactness in halacha, is a gaiva, a kosher gaiva, vayigba liboy b'darkei Hashem, a good gaiva. We count. We're important. No, you count. It's the Yom HaMiyuchis. A t'nai for Kabbalah Satira is to know your chashuv. Diktuk in halachas, people say, does God really care? What they're saying is you're not so important. When somebody says to you, does God really care what you do? Is Hashem's Meloicha Laretz Kevayda, he cares, sing them the song. Call up Chaim and Shlomo, they're so zis. Tell them you have two friends who want to sing you a song. The next time somebody asks you, does God really care? They're saying, are you so chashuv? Sing them B'hinei Hashem. Record maybe Chaim Shlomo. If it's Shabbos, you have to sing it yourself. And the second lesson, Rabbi said, this amazing Gemara, that Torah and mitzvahs produces a certain type of person. Pay attention to the Torah. Pay attention to mitzvahs. It produces a certain type of person. I'm going to ask, before we get to Matt and see if Wi-Fi, let's get right to Matt and see if Wi-Fi works on the plane. Let's find out, Chevra. Let's get to the plane. And let's see if Wi-Fi works on the plane. I'm looking for the plane, Chevra. It could be the Wi-Fi already stopped. Let's see. Any minute we had him was Kedai. Matt, you're unmuted, Matt. Matt, could you?
This is such a miracle. I hear everything. It's clear. I've never had this before. It's like right away it kicked in. What a miracle. I gave a prayer as soon as, As soon as Matcha said it's his birthday and the Minchas Allah's his yard side, I knew right away I'm covered.
Is it Shaykh? Will the guy, is anybody sleeping on the plane? Would they mind if you sing a Varma song?
Definitely have to sing it again. If they mind, I apologize. No, I'm kidding. They're not going to hear, hopefully. What do we got?
So far, I just want to point out, Matt has sang to us from a train station, running to help a Yid. He had been schmoozing the whole night to give chizuk. He missed his train because that wasn't his train if he's there to help us. Now he's flying and bringing the whole chevra with him all the way up. Thank you, Matt, for all the times. Thank you.
Yeah, Rabbi, thank you. So pretty much it boils down to שישמניה, או עם כל זה אחכה אלוהי, בכל יום שיבוא, אני מאמין, אוי ויפלתי, שישמניה, ועם כל זה אחכה אלוהי, בכל יום שיבוא, it's such a miracle that no one's getting disturbed. Much, Rebs, it's crazy, such a miracle. Miracle after miracle. And by the way, Rabbi, I'm so happy I stayed. I'm so happy I stayed and did not end up going. Miracles have happened since. Straight up, since then, another event came through last minute out of the mercy of God. Miracle.
Excellent, excellent. Matt,
you,
Matt had a performance at a bris. He performed and he did Hallel Naira. Matt is somebody who's very much encouraged many Yidden. I don't know where he's going, but this I'll tell you, some Yid is going to benefit from Matt's travels. We read about old Rebbes and old Gedolim. They always seem to have been traveling for another Yid. In today's times, Reb Revda traveled the world to give chizuk to two people that in my lifetime I've seen travel for Yidden were Reb Revda. He traveled the world to give chizuk to Yidden, and the Kalish Rebbe. The Kalish Rebbe is still alive. The Kalish Rebbe is somebody who traveled the world to give wherever there was a Yid, he wanted to give chizuk to Yidden. To me, in our Chabura, Matt's, he travels. Somebody gets lucky from Matt's travels. Let's get to Yehuda and Yitzy. Yehuda and Yitzy, I've been waiting for this a lot. It's the Yom HaMiyuchas. On the Yom HaMiyuchas, the day we're told how special a Yid is, it's only appropriate that Yitzy, Raice, and Yehuda should share with us a song or two. So please, Yehuda and Yitzy, the floor is yours. I am going to mute myself. The floor is yours, guys. Yitzy, you could talk to everybody first. I'm muted, Yitzy. The floor.
I have nothing to say after Matt. You can't put me after Matt. We're sitting on ground level over here. I have nothing to say after Matt. Matt, you're literally your number one, dude. It's amazing. Okay. Take it away. You ready? Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hamishvi, Eliyahu Hagilati, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hamishvi, Eliyahu Hagilati, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eira Yavo Eleinu B'Mashiach Ben David, Eira Yavo Eleinu B'Mashiach Ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu Hagilati, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu Hagilati, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Yavo Eleinu B'Mashiach Ben David, Eliyahu Yavo Eleinu B'Mashiach Ben David. יבוא אלינו במשיח בן דוד. במשיח בן דוד.
That was gorgeous. That was gorgeous. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The Chevra one, Shema Yisrael also. Can we have that also?
Sure. Yeah, but I'm going to have to use the harmonica again.
Perfect. We want it. Simcha Spern wants it, please. And Aaron Metz pointed out that Rav Aryeh also, a year travels the world to give chizuk. Very good call, Rav Aaron. Excellent. Take it away, Yehuda and Yitzy.
Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Baruch Chaim, Akiboy, Machusay, Eoy, Lomoed, Baruch, Chaim, Akiboy, Machusay, Eoy, Lomoed.
That was gorgeous. That was gorgeous. Thank you, Yitzy. Thank you, Yehuda. I want to say, Rabbi Say, this is a chabura where we're studying together, Baruch Hashem, for months, and we've been together the whole year. What Yitzy has done to literally hundreds of people, the way with such sensitivity, Yitzy's relationship to guys in yeshiva, the way you've lifted us up, dozens and dozens of people are generations are going to be God-fearing Jews because of Yitzy Raice. His sensitivity, his love of every Yid, his respect for every Yid is something otherworldly. I think specifically on the Yom HaMiyuchas. The Yom HaMiyuchas, today, the second day of Sivan, 46th day of the Omer, is the day Hashem promised us we are a special people. And it's the information we have to know before Kabbalah Satira. To be worthy of Kabbalah Satira, to be capable of Kabbalah Satira, you have to know your chashuv. It's not a kula. Telling somebody they count and important is not like this leniency. It's a tremendous shibud. It's a responsibility. There are people who feel low on purpose to shirk responsibility. It obligates to know I count. Hine Hashem Nitzav Alav obligates us because it means my actions matter. Yitzy Raice has taught hundreds and hundreds of people and impact generations because he's, with his actions, with his eyesight, has taught many that they count and they matter. And he showed us dignity. He showed us honor in serving Hashem. So I want to thank Yitzy this whole year. We're coming near the Soif Hazman, and I want to thank Yitzy for how much he's done all this time. It's very hopeful. There's actually hopeful reports that we'll be able to open in a week and a half, shortly after Shavuos. There's such hopeful reports, maybe in Pennsylvania. So I want to thank Yitzy for all that he's done till now and look forward to Yitzy continuing for years to come to uplift Yidden. Thank you, Yitzy. Thank you, Yehuda, a lot. Really, really, really appreciate it. I want to wish everybody, we've been on a campaign. We're part of a chabura that's a campaign of honor, of the dignity of a Ben Melech, the dignity of a Yid. On this Yom HaMiyuchas, we spoke about Rus's dignity, the tzniut, the diktuk and halacha. That's one sugya. When you recognize how important it brings a diktuk and halacha, it matters. If that visual out there in the leket field, in the field collecting leket, and she's so royal out there. I love the visual of the two Russes that are one. She knows under any condition she's in how precious she is. That's the visual of today, the Yom HaMiyuchas. We are precious, we count, we're important. That is the message of this Yom HaMiyuchas. I thank everybody a lot for coming today. I want to remind them 8:30 tonight, Be'ez Hashem, we're finishing up, hopefully tomorrow night. We're zeicher between tonight and tomorrow night to finish up, to make a siyum on the second parak of Avos. Be'ez Hashem, my plan is that on Wednesday night to have celebration, a siyum on the second parak. We'll see where Matt is, if Matt can perform, and many other performances to celebrate finishing two parakim of Avos. And that's Be'ez Hashem, the plans. We will be taking, Sunday will be a long off Shabbos. Shavuos is going to be Friday, and then Shabbos Kodesh is together with the second day Shavuos, and then Sunday will be Isru Chag, will be an off day, and we'll continue the limudim. We're going to continue on Monday, Be'ez Hashem, at 2:00, and Monday night we're going to be continuing Avos at 8:30. That is the plan, to go B'li neder, b'siyata d'shmaya, to try to go till the end of the Zman. The Zman, the graduation is supposed to be June 21st. I don't want to miss one day with Simcha Spurn. So we're going to try to go Be'ez Hashem till the end of the Zman. That's the plan. Be'ez Hashem for now. Everybody should have an outstanding day. And Taka, let's continue this revolution of honor on the Yom HaMiyuchas, to know our value and to give over to other Yidden the sense of their value. V'atem tiyuli mamleches kayhanim v'goy kadosh. We'll end today. We're going to end. I'm not going to talk. We'll end today. I'm going to ask Chaim and Shlomo if they can sing V'atem tiyuli, and that will be the last word. It will end immediately. Today will be a mic drop. Chaim and Shlomo, if they could sing V'atem tiyuli.
What's up, Rabbi?
Thank you, Chaim. Thank you, Shlomo.
Thank you, Ghoori.
I love you back in your seat, guys. Excellent.
V'atem tiyuli mamleches kayhanim mamleches kayhanim v'goy kadosh v'atem tiyuli mamleches kayhanim v'goy kadosh mamleches kayhanim v'goy kadosh v'atem tiyuli mamleches kayhanim Kayanim V'Goy Kadosh Mamlechas Kayanim V'Goy Kadosh V'Atem Tiuli Mamlechas Kayanim V'Goy Kadosh Mamlechas Kayanim V'Goy Kadosh V'Atem Tiuli Mamlechas Kayanim